Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I want to tell you about a Tuesday morning last January that fundamentally changed how I understand my faith. It was the morning I told a freezing man I'd pray for him while I was walking past him wearing a $300 North Face jacket I didn't even need. He was huddled in a doorway, his breath blooming in the air like smoke. "God bless you, brother," he said, his voice raspy from the cold. "Stay warm out there." I didn't even slow down. I just gave a polite nod and said, "I'll pray for you," and kept walking toward my heated office. At that moment, I had 3 heavy jackets sitting in my closet at home. He had a tattered wool blanket that looked like it had been through a war. I had warmth, he had wishes, and I offered him the one thing that cost me absolutely nothing: words. Today, we're talking about what happens when our Christianity becomes a series of spiritual platitudes instead of a lifestyle of action. We're looking at what happens when we substitute thoughts and prayers for actual obedience, and how one specific verse in the book of James exposed my faith as being completely empty. If you've ever told someone you'd pray for them when you actually had the power to help them, this message is for you. It was one of those bitter midwinter mornings where the wind cuts through your jeans like a knife. I was dressed for it, though. I had my favorite down-filled jacket on, barely a year old, perfectly insulated. I felt invincible against the elements. As I turned the corner toward the train station, I saw him. I'd seen him for weeks. He was probably in his mid-50s, but the streets make you age in dog years. He looked 70. He had a cardboard sign that simply read, "Anything helps, God bless." "Spare change today, sir?" he asked as I approached. "Sorry, man, I don't carry cash," I replied. It was a half-truth. I didn't have paper bills, but I had a debit card, a smartphone with Apple Pay, and a bank account that was doing just fine. I had options, but I didn't want the inconvenience of finding an ATM or buying him a meal. "That's okay," he said, shivering so hard his teeth were literally clicking. "You stay warm, okay? It's a mean one out here today." The irony was a physical weight. Here was a man whose literal survival was at stake, telling me, the guy in the premium outdoor gear, to stay warm. "I'll pray for you," I said. I said it with that specific Christian tone. You know the one. It's the spiritual exit ramp. It's the way we acknowledge someone suffering just enough to feel like a good person without actually getting our hands dirty. It's a way to say goodbye without feeling guilty. "Appreciate it," he muttered, pulling his thin blanket tighter. I walked on. I got my $5 latte, I sat in my climate-controlled office, and for a few hours I felt proud. I'd witnessed to him, I'd mentioned prayer, I'd been kind. That evening, I went to my weekly small group. When it came time for prayer requests, I used him as my spiritual currency. "I saw a homeless man today," I told the group, my voice full of practiced empathy. It really broke my heart. "I've been praying for him all day." Everyone nodded solemnly. "That's all we can do sometimes," one friend said. "God sees your heart," another added. I went home feeling validated, spiritual, and completely blind to my own hypocrisy. The next morning was even colder. The local news was warning about frostbite. I went through the same routine, but as I approached that same doorway, my stomach tightened. There he was. He wasn't even asking for change anymore. He was just curled into a ball, shaking violently. "Rough night?" I asked, stopping for a split second. "Couldn't sleep," he whispered. "The concrete, it just sucks the heat right out of your bones." "I'm so sorry," I said. "I'm still praying for you." He looked up at me then. He didn't look angry, just exhausted. His eyes traveled from my face, down to my jacket, then to my leather gloves, then back to my eyes. "Prayers are nice, mister," he said quietly, "but a jacket would be better. I'm dying out here." I felt the blood rush to my face. I stammered, I don't have an extra one with me today." "You could bring one tomorrow," he replied. He wasn't begging, he was just stating a logical reality. I had, he had not. I walked away feeling physically ill, because he was right. I had a closet full of extra. I had a second-best jacket that was still high quality, sitting on a hanger doing nothing. I could have literally taken the jacket off my back, given it to him, and been slightly uncomfortable for the 10-minute walk to my office. But I didn't, because my comfort was a God I wasn't willing to sacrifice. That night, I opened my Bible, and it felt like the pages were weighted. I hit James 2:15-16. "Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it?" I read it 3 times. James wasn't talking about other people. He was describing me. I was the guy saying, "Go in peace" to a man who had no peace. I was the guy saying, "Keep warm" to a man who was freezing, while I held the keys to the heater. I realized my faith wasn't just weak. The Bible said it was dead. I had treated prayer like a cosmic get-out-of-jail-free card to avoid actual sacrifice. The next morning, I didn't just grab my coffee. I went to the guest closet and grabbed my heavy-duty winter parka. It wasn't a rag, it was a nice, warm, expensive coat. When I reached the doorway, he was still there. I didn't ask how he was, I just unzipped my bag and pulled it out. "Hey," I said, "I brought you this. It's down-filled. It'll block the wind." He stared at the jacket like it was a pile of gold. "Seriously?" "Yeah, I have plenty at home. I'm sorry I was so slow to realize that you needed this more than my closet did." He stood up, his joints creaking, and put it on. He zipped it all the way to his chin and closed his eyes for a second. "Thank you," he said, and his voice broke. "I'm sorry I just offered words yesterday," I said. "I told you I'd pray, but I should have just helped." He looked at me and gave a small, shivering smile. "You helped today. That's the prayer answered, isn't it?" As I walked away, I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like someone who had finally stopped lying to himself. For once in a long time, my faith had hands and feet. For once, I wasn't just praying for my neighbor. I was actually loving him.
Thanks for watching. Here are today's reflection questions. When was the last time you offered someone thoughts and prayers when you actually had the power to meet their practical need? What's one extra thing sitting in your closet right now that could radically change someone's day if you gave it away? Drop your thoughts about the story in the comments below. Your experience might encourage someone else facing the same choice. If this resonated with you, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories about living out real faith in everyday moments.